After an entertaining round 1 in Germany, GP2 went to the Netherlands, and we immediately had to take a trip back because the Dutch race got cancelled. So we're back in Germany. Hello there, guys. It is quite surprising because the announcement was made today. But instead of racing at Zandvoort, we'll be racing here at the Hockenheim ring for the Baden-Württemberg Grand Prix for the first time ever. I am Robert Ionescu, your lead commentator, as per usual. And today I'm joined by the same guy who joined me in testing, that being Joseph Willows. Hello there, Joe.
Hello, everyone. Yes, we had to make a little trip over the border and then back again, but yeah, we're here at Hockenheim and back-to-back races here in Germany for GP2. As somebody jokingly said, the F2 German Championship.
Yeah, I guess so. Meanwhile, right before the stream started, I want to let you know, guys, Floyd said that if we can pronounce the name of the GP correctly, he will give us a cookie. So he gave me a cookie. Come on then, Joe, go for your cookie.
Baden-Württemberg. I think I butchered that, haven't I?
Well, it's Floyd's decision.
Oh.
Anyway, we've arrived here for the second German race in a row, and before we get going in qualifying, there is something to touch on. Zandvoort can return to this season, can return to a calendar this season because it can be selected as one of the voted tracks. Whether it will or not, that'll remain to be seen. But until then, it's time to get cracking with this qualifying session.
Yeah, indeed. Zandvoort isn't a problem for GP2, but it is a major problem for the top class. And because this one was meant to be a feeder series for the top class this week, kind of made sense to move it over to Hockenheim. But yeah, as Rob said, let's get into the qualifying.
Yep, indeed. And it's going to be a bone dry session. Now then, I want to talk to you about the first race. What did you think of it? Obviously, with the result being Luca Farina taking his first victory on his return and his third ever GP2 victory. His previous victories before that were in Brazil, which was his last race or his first stint, and here at the Hockenheim ring. Let's see if he could make it 2 wins in a row.
We will see, of course, but it was a very interesting race at the Nürburgring, especially with one particular corner during qualifying, or a couple of corners, I should say. But yeah, it was a very interesting start to the season. Obviously, one person who will probably want to forget his first home GP, of course, of the season was Dennis Graff, who was leading up until he got basically kamikazed by who was it? It was someone. It was Nguyen who kamikazed him into the first corner, which basically opened up the race a little bit. And we thought for a moment it was probably going to be Hamid who was going to get the victory, Mohamed Osman Hamid, but it ended up being, by some surprise, Luca Farina, who just seemed to do very well after the pit stops.
Now then, Adam Chobot, the man who finished 4th, having started outside the top 10, is out on track. And I got to talk about Chobot a little bit. He was fighting for the podium place with Hezut Perignon. The two rookies were fighting for third. And Chobot was able to take a position, but Perignon retook it a lap later. And so in the end, Chobot wasn't able to finish on the podium. But in his and Hightech's first race, he got some good points in P4.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, they would have liked a little bit more, especially with what happened with Skillen. But yeah, it's still a good debut for him, indeed, for Adam Chobot. I'm just wondering, that is a bit of a darkened part of the hairpin there. I wonder if it's a little bit damp out there, or whether it's just a texture. Not 100%
Perhaps.
sure on that, but
well, speaking of Skillen, there is one there's something I want to touch on, Joe. Because last season, Max Skillen was the only driver who finished every single race. He didn't have a single DNF in 2019. But in 2020, first race, and he's already DNF'd. So that streak came to an unceremonious end, I'm afraid.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, Skillen's got a little bit of a reputation from a certain top-class driver as being... well, you could say he's kind of like the Artem Markelov of the series in a way.
Well, enough about that. Let's get going to the first flying lap of today. Here goes Adam Chobot starting in towards the north curve, the fastest corner of this track, if you don't count the Parabolica, which is more of a king than an actual corner. And Chobot went very wide on exit, but he didn't get all 4 wheels off the wide line, so he kept within track limits, which is the faster way as well, as he goes through turn 3. And now, onto the Parabolica. The first part of it may not be flat, but you need to focus on the exit, and from there it's a flat-out king, 19.2 in the first sector. Up next is the most important overtaking opportunity of the circuit, the Spitzkehre, the hairpin. Chobot breaks for it. You can gain or lose much time here depending on how aggressive you are on entry and on exit. You don't want to take any bites out of that blue and white curb because it will slow you down onto this run. Through the fly right-hander here, entering the Mercedes-Benz Arena complex. As you go for this chicane, we had some beautiful moves in the past, particularly in 2017 with Davi Suarez, as now, or 2016 in any case. Adam Chobot will complete the second sector, 57.5, as he approaches the Mobile 1, a very fast corner. You can go very aggressive on exit, just don't dip a wheel in the gravel because that will cost you. As now I go to the Sachs corner with the banking there quite nicely, negative camber. And now then, the suit curve is all that remains. A double apex right-hander, I should say double right-hander. Watch the exit here, don't want to go too wide. And Chobot sets his lap on 1 minute 22.5. Let's see if Kyle Burns can beat it. He can.
Graf crossed the line, goes into third position. Curtis now goes fastest. His teammate Watson then takes it from him. Farina, the winner last time out, only fifth that time by. Broster across the line. He goes, very quick time.
Massively fast Alex Broster. He didn't seem to have the pace in Nürburgring, but he's found it again. So Roman went P8 as now Kulasic goes P8. Ruslan Protsu going second. Still 7 tenths we had Broster.
So 4 attempts came along with Quintino. Skillen goes 500 behind Broster to go into second. Hamlet goes into third. Then Tomaselli goes to fourth position. Andreoli goes to second by 500 of a second there. So he's able to beat Broster there. Zorbach, Broster's teammate, only 14th that time by Patel. Only 13th for him as Watzel goes into 14th. Here is Jesus Perenin, who had a very good rookie outing at the Nürburgring. What can he do here? He goes into 8th at the moment.
Joseph Ferrer is up next, P11, as Benz Wallinger goes P7, and Juan Nguyen, last one, is going P4.
Yeah, indeed. So at the moment we have Santino Andrioli at the top of the timing sheet, ahead of his former Formula E teammate, Alex Broster. So in a way, the former Audi Formula E 1-2 at the moment.
And it's funny you mention that because I am the current Audi driver, aren't I?
Yeah, indeed. Yes, you are. You're the current Audi driver. But they were the previous Audi drivers before the new GP2.
Well, I guess it's a nice sight. In any case, there's something I want to touch on. We got some of the usual suspects in that top 6. You got Skillen, Nguyen, Hamed, and Tomaselli, who are all quick at the Nürburgring, and they're all quite close. They're the only ones within half a second of Androli.
And the plus part of it as well, there is no dodgy corner here, unlike at the Nürburgring.
Well, there is one dodgy corner when we get to race day, but in qualifying there shouldn't be any of that sort.
Indeed, as the current pole sitter at the moment heads back into the pit lane. The Premiers at the moment currently finding themselves both in the top 10, the moment being 1st and 8th. Valdinger currently down in 8th position at the moment.
Yep, indeed. And Androli's had to come to a halt here. I think everyone can remember last season's race, which was pretty damn entertaining if you ask me. Benz Wallinger there, he was looking so good for the win until some traffic impeded him and allowed Thomas Anderson to make a beautiful double overtake on the run up to turn 3, take the lead and hold on to it till the end. It was his second win of the season. It was a very, very brilliant one. Wallinger finished second, but without Anderson this time around, he'll be hoping to make amends, I think.
Yeah, indeed, as Andrioli gets wheeled back into the pit lane, as his teammate has just come along now, as Nguyen also comes into the pit lane as well. His teammate Sinanome down in last at the moment, so Sinanome desperately needing to improve at the moment.
And it's not just him, a lot of other people, I'd say, are in trouble. Patel, not doing too good at the minute, neither is Farina. These two guys separated by just 1,000. Henry Watzel, who dominated the 2018 outing, is also nowhere to be seen as Chobot goes out first again. Graf, who took pole both here last season and last race at the Nürburgring, he's struggling on home soil, so is Zorbach. So yeah, quite a lot of people who want to make amends so far and get improvement, as I'm sure Chobot is definitely one of those guys. Only P15 at the minute.
Yeah, indeed. As we look at Chobot now, then he makes his way down towards the hairpin, the first car on the track yet again, just like previously. He's just been joined on the track now by Farina, Burns, and Curtis at this point in time. The only 4 on the track. Usually around this point, somebody gets left behind, so we'll have to wait and see who that one will be.
Yeah, indeed. And meanwhile, if you guys are wondering, Flo has decided to give Joe 3/4 of a cookie.
Yeah, I sort of got the pronunciation correct, but not fully. So I guess I don't know what part I got correct. Maybe the Baden and the V pronunciation, but I think that was about it.
That was the easier part, but in any case, Adam Chobot is a few corners away from starting his second flying lap. Would you like to take us through it, Joe?
Absolutely. As Chobot now then, he's going to make his way into the last 2 corners on the racetrack. as he will now start his lap, making his way out the final turn, and starting the lap now then will go the Slovakian. So the first corner, a very interesting first corner, it must be said, in Grand Prix 4, really, because lots of people try to go on the inside here, and it don't usually quite work. There's only odd few occasions where it does work. It looks like Chobot may get held up here as they make their way into turn 3, which is where some of the overtaking gets done around this track.
That's Watzel, isn't it?
It looks like Watzel, I believe. It is Watzel as they come out of turn 3 as he's 2 tenths down in the first sector, but still up on his personal best as Chobot tries to make his way past him through the Parabolica here. Flat out you go, and I told Flo this the other day because he thought that this was the only track outside of Monza, the only track in the world now that has a corner called Parabolica, given that Monza's Parabolica is now called the Michele Alboreto curve, but then I corrected him about Estriol's final corner, which is also called the Parabolica. So,
oh yeah, that's right. In any case, Chobot wasn't able to get the overtake into the hairpin, so he's lost a lot of time there.
Yep, and I believe that's going to have an impact on him in the middle sector as he now comes past the Mercedes-Benz grandstand, near flat through the right-hander, but not quite with the GP2 cars, and I think it'll be the same for the top-class car. Now heading into the stadium section, lifting off through here. We do see quite a few mistakes at that corner in all the categories, really, but mainly in DTM we see that. Through the hairpin, which is a bank corner, flat through the left and right-handed before making it way towards the final 2 corners. Right next to it is part of the drag strip where we've seen in the real-life 2019 season a lot of drivers slipping off. Out of the final turn and onto the pit straight we go. And what is Chobot going to do? And he does not improve. Watzel really holding him up as his teammate, Watzel's teammate I should say, Farina, goes up to 7th.
I just want to touch, Chobot was only 2 tenths down despite all that traffic, so he's definitely got some more time in the bag. As Suto is starting a lap, he's going to be impeded by Curtis.
Speaking of Charuzas, here is Carl Burns now then, making his way down the pit straight. And what is the American going to do? He goes up to 13th that time at this point in time. Here comes Dennis Graff, who is on improvement. Let's see what the home favourite can do.
Yep, indeed. He's taken 2 straight poles in Germany. He wants to follow up with a third. It's easier said than done. Let's see what he can do.
15th for Graf, that is pretty disappointing. Synonym goes up to 14th, gets out of last as Kulizek make his way up into 8th, as I butchered his lane there, it's Kulizek. Broster does not improve that time. Goes
Ruslan Protsiuk.
Across the line goes the Russian, and he goes fastest by 300ths of a second.
Yep, indeed. Now Max Killen's next across the line. He can't improve. What about Tomaselli, the quali master? I'm afraid he can't either, and Androli cannot retake pole for now.
Perenin now then, not improving at the moment, and he remains down in 12th at this point in time. Hamid crosses the line, no improvement. Here comes Zorbak, goes up to 11th.
Larson goes up into P7, meanwhile knocking Zorbak down 1 place as Patel goes up to 10th. Make that 2 places for Zorbak.
So now then, the person who impeded Chobot a little bit earlier crosses the line to go up into 15th position, pushing Perenin down to 16th and a few others
Here comes
as well.
Ben Fallinger. This is a very quick lap. It's only good enough for P10. Shows how close the fatalities. Once again, he's just 1,000 behind Farina.
Indeed, Suter, that was a woeful lap. He looked like, because obviously he did get held up a little bit earlier on, let's not forget, into the first corner, so it's clearly had an impact on his lap there, but these sets of laps done with, I believe.
Yeah, indeed. Ruslan Protsiuk is on pole for now. This guy, he was the best of all the drivers who competed in 2019 who are still on the grid, looking at the championship standings. And he had a pretty quiet race at Nürburgring. He wasn't pretty much anywhere, but he did score some points. And now he's turned up to 11 at Hockenheimring, and he'll be hoping to take that pole.
Yeah, indeed, as Synonym down in 18th at the moment did make a massive improvement, but also others around him were able to improve, so he's still not in the position where he'd like to be ideally at the moment in the McLaren Lloyd Carlin, so he'll need to really get his mojo going if he wants to, or his fade on, as ever people call it, Yuri, to improve.
In any case, Hento wasn't the most lucky out there. He was involved in the turn 1 pileup at Nürburgring. It wasn't his fault, but he was still an innocent casualty in that one. So his race, he couldn't complete the racing lap yet. He'll be hoping he can do that tomorrow, but he'll want to start in a better position, because if you start near the back of the pack, you'll be very likely to be involved in an incident. So he'll be hoping he can stay out of trouble.
Yep, indeed. So if you hear a motorcycle noise in the background, somebody's really revving outside my house at the moment. But there we are. As we look to wait to see the next set of cars that go out onto the track, including the driver that got left behind, who I wasn't really keeping an eye on.
Here goes Chobot again. Or is it Killen? I think it's Chobot.
It's one of the
It is
high-tech cars. It is Chobot, in fact. I believe that Flo might have disappeared for a moment. Probably the worst time to disappear, but there we are.
Oh, well. In any case, Joe, considering he got impeded on his previous lap, I'll let you commentate his lap again, providing he doesn't get any traffic this time around, and I hope he won't.
Well, I think I did most of it, so I don't think we need to go through another lap, to be perfectly honest. But
Well, alright then, sure. Farina is also out. He'll be hoping to get a better position in the top 10. Kulisec, Burns, and Curtis are also out, as are a whole of our people, including Ruslan Protsiuk. And tell you what, guys, I didn't actually catch you stay in the pits on the previous rounds, so if any of you could let me know, I appreciate it.
So anyway, I'd like to ask you a question there, Rob, of course, because obviously there was supposed to be one driver who was meant to be on the GP2 grid, Jake Galloway, but he obviously ended up in the top class. Well, he's now a race winner in the top class, surprisingly. What was your reaction when you saw the news that he had won a race in a Renault?
I always knew he could do it. He was my number one favorite for the championship if he had remained for this season. I'm just very happy for the lad. Now then, Adam Chobot is about to begin his lap. But that's my opinion on Jake Galloway.
Because then, as we're going to get a very interesting camera view here, there's some traffic in front, but it's a little bit further away than the previous traffic we had last time. So hopefully, for Chobot's sake, the Premier in front doesn't impede him.
Yeah, let's hope so, indeed. As he completes the first sector, if he can get up, he can, by 800s almost. You need to claw back a little bit more, but even with the traffic, he was able to stay close in Sector 2. He will get less traffic this time around.
In Sector 2 and Sector 3, he did lose time, of course, because of being held up by... who was it he got held up by? It was Joseph Fredericks... No, it wasn't Joe, was it? It was Watzel he got held up by.
Yeah, it was Watzel. Meanwhile, you just mentioned Joseph Ferry Soto. Good that you did, because he is in the pits on this run.
So he's going to be the one staying behind for the moment, but he will get plenty of time to do another lap, given that we have just over 15 minutes to go. Let's see what Chobot's second sector is like, and he lost time in the second sector. So that's a bit surprising.
He didn't have any traffic on his first lap. His first lap was just pretty slow. It appears this lap isn't quite fast either, as he looked to have a little bit of a snap of understeer into Zach's corner, but he was able to rectify it.
Corner then
snap of oversteer, I should say.
Driver. He'll now make his way onto the pit straight. Let's see what Chobot can do. Across the line, and he does not improve, remains in last position.
Very narrowly, I might add. As now Luca Farina is next to cross the line, finish his lap without improvement.
For him. As the Prema behind, Valding is about to start his lap. A few cars behind are just about to start lap very soon. As Burns, very interesting first sector there. It's not red at all, so
it's white. Let's see what he can do across the line.
Not improve as Kudlazek goes up into 9th position. I wonder if it was because he actually matched his time in the middle sector. Not sure.
Perhaps. Kurtz goes up to 13th. Meanwhile, as Gabriel Contino can't improve, impeding Rahul Patel in the process. As Alex Broster stays where he is.
Dennis Graf across the line goes the German driver and remains in 20th position. He's really struggling out there at the moment compared to what he did at the Nürburgring. As Watzel now then comes around the final two corners. And I was right. Flo's just clarified that white means it was matched. So a white panel means that they match their time in the middle in any sectors.
Well, that is definitely rare. Yeah, here goes Warson finishing his lap. Let's see where he can put him. He actually lost time in sector 3 by quite a margin. Now then, Max Killen is going to be up next. He can't improve either.
Tomaselli doesn't improve. Here comes Selenome, who is currently in 19th position. The Japanese
and speaking of Tomaselli, Joe, just wanted to point out, he and Kulisec have the same time.
Where are they? I'm just trying to find them, right? Yes, you are correct there. Now I'm trying to figure out which one's higher, the higher garage. Is it the Dams or is it the Campos?
Valgar doesn't improve, 600 so second misses out. As Zorbak also doesn't improve, neither does Hamid. Hesperin is up next, and this looks like a quick lap. It's not quick enough for P13 though.
I have to keep an eye on that when we head back into the pits to see which garage is higher between Dams and Campos. Here comes Patel coming out the final turn. And
this lap was compromised. He has some traffic and early on, I think. And yeah, he couldn't improve, I'm afraid.
Yeah, indeed. As Watterson now then just makes his way down into the stadium section. Let's see which garage is higher than compared to Campos and Dams. It looks like, is it Campos that's higher? Judging from that, I am not sure. Because if that's the case, then that might be okay. Because Tomaselli drives for Campos and Kulisek drives for Dams. So
yeah.
think Flo will not have to do any work if that is the case, but we will see.
Yeah, indeed so. As Placidly, speaking of him, he's coming to the pits now.
Let's see then. Let's see if there are any yellow cards about when they enter the pit. And he's a high garage, so yeah, it'll be fine. Flo doesn't need to do any work. The Campos garage is higher than the Dam's garage.
Yeah.
The height that's right next to him.
Oh, very close to a collision there between Sinonome and that Prima.
Yeah, indeed, as we wait for another set of cars to go out onto the track. Maybe Suto could be the first to go out this time, maybe, unless Chobot decides he wants to go out first, which he does. So
it's rare seeing the first guy be the first out on track for every single one of the 4 runs. Usually we see for the first and second, but not for any after that. Looks like Chobot.
This will be his final flying lap, might I add, judging from how many laps he's got on the draft panel. So, Chobot, if he wants to get out of last place, this will be his last chance.
Yep, indeed. And if he can't do it, then we will know he'll be at the back of the grid quite a few minutes before the checkered flag.
Just want to point out as well, whilst we wait as well, if any of you put Hockenheim down as a vote for the standalone, this being the GP2 drivers, of course, in the vote, you can quickly change it if you want to any other track, because of course we're at Hockenheim now, and this is not a standalone race. So
I wanted to ask Joe, by the way, Zandvoort wasn't eligible to be in the voted tracks initially, right? But now I think it is eligible. So are people going to be allowed to change to Zandvoort?
That is correct. Yes, there is. Zandvoort being on the GP2 calendar this season isn't out of the question, but it all really depends on if people vote for it. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if people are going to change their votes or not.
Yeah. So apparently all the Hockenheim votes have already been changed according to Flo. So that's very interesting.
All right then. Adam Chobot is going to get going for his final flying lap, and this time he might not have any traffic for a change. Here he goes.
Let's see, Joe, as he comes out to. You say that, there's somebody on the right there, and it looks like it's one of the camp office. It's Quintino, of course, because he's got the very unique Banco de Brazil livery.
I'm really sorry for that, Jinx, but he might be able to pass him. He's closer than he was to the other cars before. He's already lost extra time the first
bit. He did have to lift off the throttle when he came out of the pits there, so this is already wet Chobot, even though he's going to pass him down into the hairpin here.
Yeah, well, at least he's clear around these guys. You can see Tomaselli in front, meanwhile. As we got 6 cars still in the pits. And let us know, guys, if the Ballon d'Or winner has been announced or not yet.
Well, it's rumoured to be Messi, apparently, from what I've seen, but whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But
anyway, we don't know when we'll know the results for that, but we will know the results for this qualifying session in the next 9 minutes. As Chobot has improved a heap of time in the middle sector. Yeah, and you consider he was down in the first sector, he's getting like half second in the middle one.
That bit of slipstream that you just got there from Quintino definitely helped him out there.
Yeah, but he can't seem to be able to shake off Quintino. Looks like the Brazilian could be on for a quick lap, and he might be impeded.
Let's see what Chobot can do then. Can he keep this up in the last sector across the line? Those are Slovakian, and he goes up to 16th.
Massive improvement is just what he needed. Great stuff. As Farina is next to cross the line, championship leader goes P7. That's his session done, and he's tied with Hamid.
Same time as Hamid there, and I'm trying to figure out if the ART garage is higher.
Is the front two in the championship? Might I add? As Nguyen starts his lap, Sinonome will start his lap as well.
That's one we're going to have to check as well there. We already know that the Campos garage is higher than the Dams one, so we already figured that one out. But it's whether the MP Motorsport garage is higher than the ART garage.
Yeah. In any case, Kulasec, he appears to be 4/10 down in the middle sector, so it doesn't look like he'll improve.
Unless he performs a miracle in the last sector, as Kulasec, the Czech
Republican,
doesn't improve.
You can just call him the Czech. Or the Czech man, or something. But anyway, as Guff is up next, he can't improve. He'll be starting in 21st.
Not a good position to start in his second home race of the season.
Yeah, indeed. Larson, up next across the line, he can't improve. Patel will start his lap. He shouldn't have much traffic unless he gets too close to Larson. Now that Max Skillen's next across the line is in P4, can he go for the front row? No, he cannot.
Marcelli's on improvement, but he loses time in the last sector, so he remains in 9th.
With the same time as Kulasec, still. Anyway, here comes Zorbach next across the line. He can't improve. Valdinger is also still in the pits, might I add. Burns is coming in, and Gwyn is not coming in.
He stays on 1 minute 21.4. Here comes the Nguyen now then in the Carlin. Across the line he will go. He'll have one more lap in to do, and he does not improve, so he'll get one more chance. Here is his teammate Sinanome. Across the line he will go, and he does not improve, so Sinanome remains in 20th.
Oof, as Hamid can't improve either, and the only can't retake pole. It's in Protik's hands for now. Maybe his Berina could take it away, let's see. Can he outqualify Patel at least? No, he can't. Patel outqualifies his teammate today.
Hamid and Farina stay on the same time, so we will need to check.
Speaking of Patel, he was only half time down in middle sector. He might be able to improve.
Patel's on a lap, by the way, Flo. You might want to get to Patel. Here he is. So,
Yep, indeed. Let's see what the Indian driver can do as he crosses the line. Can he get up in the top 10? No, he can't.
Remains in 12th, just ahead of teammate Perinen. But we've still got, I think, how many cars?
Curtis improves, meanwhile. We got the three cars we got the three usual suspects. The three cars. It appears they are Nguyen, Valdinger, and Joseph Felix Soto.
Curtis improves to go up into 12th position.
Just one place behind his former teammate.
Indeed, so he gets in from the both Uni Virtuosi at the moment. As Valdinger now goes out onto the racetrack, and we need to check which is higher, actually, the MP Motorsport or the ART garage. So,
this is a little bit of a funny touch, because not only is it the front two in the championship, it's also the teams who were first and second last season.
Indeed, and they're currently top two in the championship at the moment in the standing.
Yeah.
So, let's see then. So where does Hamid pull into the box then? So that's you can't really tell, can you? In fact, it's quite near the bottom. In fact, I don't know if ART is anywhere around here.
I think ART is much earlier.
Then that would mean that that Flo will need to do some work then, if that's the case, because Farina is behind Hamid on the table there. So sorry, Flo, if that's true. Not really. But anyway, we need to get back to the action because Valdinger is on the track.
Yeah, indeed. Patel 13th, he qualified better than at Nürburgring, but still not in the top 10. In any case, if he can pull a drive like he did at the Nürburgring, he'll get some points.
Flo just making a little joke there, realising he has to do some work. But anyway, Valdinger currently outside the top 10. His teammate at the moment on the front row, but can he get anywhere close to Andreoli? Let's find out.
He is a very, very hungry man. He lost the win last season. He drove a brilliant race, but a little bit bad luck with the traffic took the win away from him. And speaking of that,
he might just get away with it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, his turn 3 looked kind of shaky. If he's close enough to overtake, then his lap won't be completely ruined. It doesn't appear to be the case.
3 tenths down on his personal best in the first sector. He is getting the slipstream, though.
That was the worst jinx in the history of jinxes, I'm sorry.
Nguyen's still yet to go out onto the track. He's biding his time, it seems.
Yeah, indeed.
As they make their way out of the hairpin, I wonder if Valdinger is going to interfere with Suto's time. Suto currently last at the moment in qualifying.
Has gone out now.
Indeed, Nguyen now out on the track, currently in 5th. Probably his last chance to see if he can get a little bit higher, maybe even try and get pole off of Protsiuk if he can.
Well, it's looking like he's getting to hope for a miracle for that one. He's 6 tenths down.
As Valdinger now then makes his way towards the banked left-hander.
I just want to say, his middle sector time was actually quite close to Protsiuk, his personal best. He was 6 tenths of that one and 6 tenths of his quickest time as well, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to improve. Even though his last sector on his best was a little slower, as Valdinger crossing the line, he's off the pace. He can improve.
Well, let's see what Suto can do. He was just pulling away a bit from Valdinger. He makes his way towards turns 2 and 3 on the track.
Well, it's his last shot.
Coming out of turn 3, let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. And he's 9 thousandths up on his personal best, but not much up. So he needs to work a little bit harder if he wants to get out of last place and put the home favourite Dennis Graf in last position.
In any case, if he can find just 400 or a second, he'll be up 4 places. So there's definitely room to gain.
Should point out as well the team that he's test driving for, Williams, of course. I do believe they're going to have a special livery this week as well to commemorate the late Sir Frank Williams, of course, who sadly passed away yesterday on Sunday. So, R.I.P. Sir Frank.
R.I.P. As now Jose Frederick Sputo is about to cross the middle sector split. Is he up? He is by 2 tenths. That's a good omen. And they can get him into P19. Maybe better if he can improve in sector 3.
See then, he goes around the banked left-hander now then. Into the final 4 turns will go the Slovakian driver, last year's runner-up in Formula E. Coming into the final corner he goes now then, as he'll now use all the curb, well not all the curb, but some of the curb on the outside, across the line, and he goes up to P19. You were correct.
Yeah, just as anticipated. Holman Gwyn is the only car left, and he was down in Sector 1, but Sector 1 doesn't tell you so much. Let's see if he can take pole away from Pratsiuk.
He's way off. He's way off in the middle sector, so it looks like, unless Nguyen can perform a miracle in the last sector, it looks like Ruslan Protsiuk is going to be on pole for tomorrow's Baden-Württemberg Grand Prix. I know I've butchered that name, but just roll with it.
Half a cookie this time.
Anyway, into the final 2 turns then goes Nguyen.
Yep, indeed.
He can do, and across the line goes the Vietnamese driver, and he does not improve. So it is Ruslan Protsiuk who will be on pole position for tomorrow's race here at Hockenheim.
Yeah, indeed. And just want to point out real quick, Dennis Graf, the man who took pole at Nürburgring and at Hockenheim last time out, is now in last. So how quickly the tide can turn from pole in the first race to last on the grid for the second race.
Indeed so, but it is Protsiuk on pole position for tomorrow's race, of course, and he will be looking to see if he can try and get victory tomorrow, considering that he has got a little bit of a point to prove after a bit of inconsistency last season, and obviously determined to try and win the championship this season. Will the Russian?
Yes, absolutely. I think Protsiuk, we've seen last season, his consistency was a bit off, but he has very, very solid pace, and he's taken pole before. I don't remember exactly when that was, though. Last season, I know he was on pole before. I know that much, but yeah, he's on pole again. So, all right, Joe, thanks.
Whilst you're at it, I do believe he did take pole. Might have been Hungary, if I'm not mistaken, but I will double check.
Wasn't Hungary the race he won?
He won the race at Hungary, but no, his last pole actually came at the Mugello last season.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's what it was. Anyway, and we got 2-1. 0, checker flag is out, and Nguyen is coming in. That's the end of the session, and Protsiuk is on pole again.
Indeed, only 2 drivers over a second off of Protsiuk's pole time, that being Senenome and Graf, of course. A lot of work to do for them tomorrow.
It's very, very nice to see that half the pack is within 0.3 of a second from pole.
Yeah, indeed, as we will just wait for the menu to come up as soon as... well, Nguyen's now back in the pits. We should get back into the menu screen very, very soon, I would suspect, but we will see. And I think it's about to now because it's at the frozen bit, and there we go.
Yep, indeed. So here we have the qualifying results. It's Ruslan Protsiuk taking his first pole of the season with Santino Andreoli in his second race, qualifying on the front row. Great performance from him. Alex Broster, the man who looked incredibly fast in testing, but incredibly slow at Nürburgring, well, he's found his testing pace back. He's in P3 on the grid. Max Killen looking in P4, looking to make amends after the bad luck he encountered at Nürburgring. Holman Gwyn also had some bad luck at Nürburgring, though a little bit self-inflicted. He's also qualified well again with P5. Luca Farina is behind Mohammad Usman Hamid. Ignore the graphics. Hamid is in front of the championship leader. They had the same time, but Hamid is in front with Farina P7. Joel Watson in P8. Lorenzo Tomaselli, this time it is correct. He is P9 with Wojtek Kulesic in P10. Ben Wallinger then, hoping to get get back the victory he didn't get last season, is in P11.
Then it is his former teammate, Aaron Curtis, who's in 12th with Rahul Patel in 13th. Teammate Jesus Perinen in 14th and all Uni Virtuosi 7th row. Gabriel Quintino is in 15th with Adam Chobot 16th. Nicholas Zobak 17th. Henry Watzel in 18th with Joseph Federic Suto in 19th. Carl Burns in 20th. Hento Sinanome in 21st. And Dennis Graf in 22nd and last.
Yep, indeed. That's been it from this session. And it's been quite one heck of a day. The announcement came obviously as a surprise to a lot of people. But we managed to get it to Hockenheim in time, and we had a very competitive qualifying session. I hope it can be the same case in the race tomorrow.
Well, hopefully it is indeed. Obviously, Hockenheim does produce very exciting races in both GP2 and the top class, so hopefully we should expect the same tomorrow.
And also in DTM, we had one just 2 days ago. It wasn't the greatest race of all time, but it was still good, and I'm hoping we can have a very good race tomorrow as well. Until then, that's been it from us. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, of course, for the Baden-Württemberg GP. And until then, we've been us, you've been you, and we'll see you again for the next one. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye.